Hey, welcome back to day 5. Today we're going to continue with our theme of satya, or truthfulness, while we practice. And let's get started. Let's get right with it. I mentioned at the beginning that we're going to work up to having a seat, and when we start off our grounding meditation at the beginning. Now, seat is a little difficult if your hips are very tight and your spine muscles aren't flexible or mobile yet. So you can always, if we're doing a seated one at the beginning and you're feeling like tension in your back or you can't sit up straight, you can just lie down instead. That's fine to do too. But we're both sitting on blocks to help to give us the lift that we would get at the end of the practice when we go to sit. As the hips are more open, you can get easier lift, and as the spine is warmed up. But at the beginning, to sit on a lift, it's a little easier to get the spine to be erect. And this is important because people talk about like activating their chakras through the yoga practice, but if your posture isn't aligned properly, then the chakras aren't lined up properly. So we're not really like activating the spine or the dormant energetic qualities if the pose isn't coming well. So first we work on opening up the energy channels through the physical practice. And then when we go to sit, they're already open so we can tap right into that power that we've cultivated through our physical practice. That's why also, as the month progresses, we'll start to integrate more and more things that are taking you into the subtle aspects of practice, like breathing meditation, pranayama, and seated meditation. But we'll get to it, don't worry. Today, we're just gonna have a brief little seated meditation. So rest your hands in your laps, however feels comfortable. Feel the spine upright, but not rigid. And then practice watching the breath slow down. So when there's speed, there's no room for learning. When we slow down and observe and pay attention, then we're learning from our practice, we're learning from our body. And then there's room for growth and for change. So it's important to take time to slow down, reflect. This is all very powerful practice to be doing on a daily basis. Also, just this upright pose, being able to sit with the chest open and the spine erect, already starts to affect the hormones, the breathing, affects the autonomic nervous system. So you get a whole different feeling and vibration when you sit up tall. All right, then gently open your eyes and let's get to the practice. So now, physical practice. Come into child's pose, like we started yesterday. Then stretch back into downward dog. Then walk your feet forward to the front of your mat. Inhale, make a flat back. Reach your heart forward. Exhale, fold forward. Press down into your feet. Inhale, come all the way up to stand. Raise your arms. Exhale, bring your hands to your heart. So we're going to do a little flow with lunging to open up the hip flexors. Inhale, raise your arms up. Exhale, fold forward. Inhale, flat back. Step your left leg back into a lunge. Lower your knee down to the floor. Bring your hands to your right knee and upright yourself. Draw your navel up. Then take your arms forward without sinking. So grow the back leg down into the mat, then raise your arms all the way up. Just like we learned on day, I don't remember which day it was, but to create more opening, we want to stretch the fabric of the body in 2 different directions. Just like I pull with 2 hands in different directions to stretch my shirt. The left shin reaches down, the ribs and the arms reach up to create more space. Then bring your hands down, curl your back toes under, lift your back knee up and step back into downward facing dog. Right back to dog. Now inhale your left leg up behind you. Shift into plank, pull your knee up into your chest, round your back, then step your foot all the way up by your thumb. Lower your back knee down. Bring your hands to your left knee, start to upright yourself. Stretch down to that right shin, take your arms forward as the navel plugs up, so you're growing the spine taller, strengthening and making the spinal muscles more supple. Then raise your arms all the way up and rotate those triceps forward as you do. Feel the space across the back of your neck. Bring your hands back down to the mat. Curl your back toes, lift your back knee, and step back to downward facing dog. Inhale your right leg up from the inner thigh. Shift into plank, pull your knee up to your chest, round your back, and step your foot all the way up by your thumb. Then step your back foot forward and fold forward. If it's difficult to do that step all the way up, you can do blocks underneath your hands in downward facing dog. That's always an option. Inhale, flat back. Exhale, fold forward. Press down through your feet. Inhale, come all the way up to stand. Raise your arms. Exhale the hands to your heart. Again, inhale, raise your arms up. Exhale, fold forward. Inhale, flat back. Step your right leg back and lower your back knee down. Inhale, come right up and raise your arms straight up. Now we can move a little quicker that we've got that feeling in the body. Exhale, downward facing dog. Inhale the right leg up from the inner thigh. Shift into plank, pull your knee up, and step your foot all the way up by your thumb. Lower your back knee. Inhale your arms up. Exhale, downward facing dog. Inhale the left leg up from the inner thigh. Shift into plank, pull your knee up. Step your foot all the way up by your thumb. Inhale up onto fingertips, stretch that back leg straight now. Fingertips on the mat. And then step your back leg forward, Uttanasana. Press down through your feet. Inhale, come all the way up to stand. Raise your arms. Exhale the hands to your heart. Good. Then turn to your side and separate your feet wide apart. Okay. Then from this position, we're going to do that same functional movement warm-up that we did to warm up the external rotators. So feet don't go the widest distance and the toes turn out halfway. This is kind of like a sumo squat if you've ever worked out in the gym before. All right, so bring your hands to prayer position. And as you inhale, slowly start to turn your thighs out and bend your knees out to the side. Now be honest with yourself. You don't want to go any lower to where it, like if you feel your thighs start to turn in, you want to stop that movement. And if the spine starts to shrink, you'll stop the movement too. But if you can turn the thighs out and go a little bit deeper, go ahead. Then as you exhale, come all the way up to stand, straighten the legs. Again, inhale, slowly bend the knees out to the side, turn the thighs out. Keep the spine tall right over top of the pelvis. Stay even on your feet and exhale, come back up to stand. Let's do that a few more times. Inhale, slowly bend the knees. Feel those thighs turn. You're waking up your external rotators and you're stretching your inner legs. Exhale, come back up. Inhale, sit. And now this time, raise your arms as you sit. Stretch those arms up overhead. Keep turning the thighs out. Keep the arms up as you exhale, stand. Last three. Inhale, slowly lower and hold down there. Turn the thighs, create more space across the inner legs. Exhale, stand. Last two. Inhale, slowly lower, turn those thighs. Exhale, stand. Feel how the range of motion starts to increase naturally. Inhale, slowly. You don't have to force it. It just happens. That's so cool. Keep turning those thighs. Hold, hold, and then come all the way up to stand. Great job. Then bring your hands onto your hips. Turn your legs for triangle pose. So we'll skip the warrior two in the side angle since we did all that external rotation warm up. And then tip your pelvis out over your thigh. Put your right hand down onto the block. Raise your left arm up. Glance down at your right thigh and make sure it's turned all the way out. Then press down through your feet. Inhale, come back up to stand. Turn your legs to the other side. Triangle pose. Turn that left thigh all the way. Let the rim of the pelvis tip towards your left thigh slightly. Good, then press down into your feet. Come back up to stand. Turn your left toes in. Hands on your hips. Okay, then we're gonna practice that shoulder rotation that we did. Clasp your hands behind your back. Draw the shoulder blades onto the back. Turn the inner shoulders to the outer shoulders. And then start to fold forward in between your legs. Set your fingertips down onto the floor. Inhale, flat back. Reach your heart forward. Exhale, fold deeper. Walk the hands back, let the head drop. So we have some familiarity in the sequence. We're continuing these basic standing poses that are the backbone of your yoga practice. By becoming proficient in these standing poses, the spine will become more elastic and healthy. The legs will start to become stronger, more healthy, and more flexible. But we're also mixing up and adding all different principles and movements and warm-ups. Inhale, flat back. Exhale, hands to your hips. Come all the way up to stand. All right, then turn your left foot out and step up to the top of your mat. Stand tall up over your ankles, and then bring your right leg up to hip height without anything else changing in your body. Then take your arms forward and raise your arms up. Grow tall. As that knee comes up, the left thigh will want to come forward and the ribs will want to tip back. Tip the left thigh back and the ribs forward so you're tall up over your ankle still. Then lower your leg and your arms. Bring your left knee up. Raise your arms up. And practice keeping that thigh back. So every time I do this pose, no matter how many times I do it, my standing leg thigh will come forward and my ribs will tip. So I have to draw the thigh back and grow the ribs up. Bring your leg down and your arms down. One more time, knee up, arms up. Grow yourself tall up over that ankle. Good, change sides, arms down, leg down. Knee up, arms up. Good, then bring your arms and your leg down. Okay, now bring your right foot up onto a block right in front of you. Stand up tall, hands on your hips. Then keeping the left thigh back and steady, just start to turn your ribs to the right. But don't let the thigh turn, so nothing from downstairs changes, just the ribs twist. The hips stretch evenly out of the back and the side ribs lift up tall over the hips. Okay, good. Now let me see if you could stretch your right arm back behind you and put your left hand there onto your thigh. So now we're learning principles for twisting. So on our back, we learned back with Shireen, we learned how to keep the spine long as we were twisting. And that's a really important principle for twisting. We probably should have reinforced that today, but I feel like you're smart and you could pull back into that and remember that action. So grow the spine tall, the head balanced right up over top of it. And then feel the ribs start to turn without losing any length. Naturally, the spine will want to shrink the more you twist, but we're going to teach it to get healthier and taller as we twist. Twist, twist. Come back to center and lower your leg down. Then just scoot your block over to the side so it's lined up with your left foot, and then step your left foot up onto there. Stand tall, hands on your hips. Now start to turn, bring your right hand to your left thigh, left hand onto your hip. So the right thigh, I want to come forward, but I want you to keep stretching that right thigh back, and you'll feel a stretch come across the front of your hip if you do it well, if it's tight there. Good. And then stretch your left arm back into the middle of the room. Feel that you're as tall as you can be over your right ankle. That's the mountain pose quality. Remember I said that mountain pose is the foundation of your standing poses? That's how you can find it here. Good job. Okay, come back to center, lower that leg down. Okay, let's try it without the foot on something. It's harder to get all the length and stability. So now bring your right knee up and stand up as tall as you can over your ankle. So now you're having to use your hip muscles to hold your leg up. Then bring your left hand to the outside of the leg and start to turn. Ooh, now we're having to balance too. There's a whole lot going on. Stretch that right arm back into the middle of the room, but still tall up over that left ankle, left thigh back. Come back to center and raise your arms up. Hold that knee up. Extra breath here. Then lower your leg and your arms. Great job. Bring your left knee up, right up to hip height. Right hand to leg, left hand to hip. It's like turning into yoga twister now. And then start to turn the chest. Without that right thigh coming forward, reach your left arm back. Feel all those muscles turn on in your legs. Your core is working. You don't have to do a lot of crunches to work your core. You just have to work on standing tall in these standing poses. And all your core muscles are getting exercised. Come back to center, arms up, keep that leg up. Keep growing tall, so you're teaching the spine to become tall and strong. Good, then bring your leg and your arms down. Inhale your arms up. Exhale, fold forward. Inhale, flat back. Step back to down dog, one leg at a time. All right, let's do our Chaturanga practice today. This time, we're gonna do with knees down. Set your knees down onto the mat. Then shift forward, bring your shoulders over your wrists. Okay, so we're gonna find all that space across the collarbones and the tops of the blades. Now, to lower, I'm gonna show the wrong way. When I go to lower, my upper back and my head are gonna wanna lead the way. But instead, I want you to lean with your chest towards the floor. It's almost like your head and your neck are trying to resist the movement towards the floor. It'll feel like that. So go ahead, see if you can lean forward and start to lean the chest towards the floor and lower to elbow height without the upper back shoulders hunching. And then come back up. Then again, slowly lower. And let's just do 7 of those. 2, come back up. Good, keep going on your own. And you can always do this in front of a mirror so you can make sure that what I was showing isn't what's happening in your body. Instead, you're doing it just like Jacob's doing. And this way, you're strengthening your triceps, you're strengthening your back muscles, the chest is staying open as you strengthen the chest. We don't want to strengthen the chest in this closed position. One more time. Good job. Now, plank pose, 5 breaths. 1, feel your strong arms work. 2, feel all those back muscles turn on that we worked on training the last 3 days. 3, 4, one more plank variation. Set your left elbow down, then your right elbow. Interlock your hands and hold for 1. Spread those blades out of your back again. Spread the collarbones. 3, strong abs, engage your core. 2, 1, great job. Set your pelvis down onto the floor, Sphinx pose. Take your hands shoulder distance apart. If this feels like it's a lot of torque on your lower back, then scoot your elbows forward more. But otherwise, if it feels good, just hold there. Turn the outer thighs down to the floor, pinky toe side of the foot down. lengthen the tail towards the heels, and from just below your navel, lift up towards your chest. So it's like you're trying to take the curve of the lower back up through the rest of the spine. Teach that middle upper back to move. Then one more time, curl your toes under, lift your knees, lift your hips up, come back into plank on your forearms, then come up into plank on your hands. Hold there, let the spine neutralize. And then set the knees down, come to seated position, Dandasana. Sit with your legs stretched straight out in front of you. All right, good. So in this seated position, remember you can always bend the knees if you need to get the spine to become more upright. So that's fine, even if the knees are bent that much, that's cool. But if you can straighten the legs and keep the spine upright, go ahead. Whichever one you're doing, bend the right knee off to the side and sit up tall, turn to face your left inner leg. The preliminary pose for all the seated forward bends where we do forward flexion is to just sit in the Dandasana quality first with whatever you're going to do with the legs. And this is the most commonly thing that I see people skip, is that they haven't learned just to keep their spine upright and let their thigh bones release. So once you have that, once you feel like the lower back can come upright and the tops of your thighs can release, then you could try to go for the next phase of the pose. But this is important just to get the hamstrings to open here. This is a big stretch. Don't get it twisted. But if you feel like this isn't a stretch for you, you can go ahead and walk your hands towards your foot, holding a strap, or maybe eventually the foot, and then start to lean the trunk towards the leg to about a 30-degree angle. If you can keep a flat back there, that's really good. Draw this lower back in and up, and still stretch the legs. If you need to go back to that upright seat because you can't get a flat back, that's fine too. Whichever one you're doing, breathe, and don't try to skip poses. Just be honest with yourself. Go to the level that you need to be at today. It's not a race. You're not going to win anything if you get really flexible. So just be patient with your body. Come back up and change sides. Bend that left leg off to the side. Work on your upright seat, that lower spine, get it to move in and up. And then see if you can start to walk forward a little. Maybe take the strap on the foot, or you could just, if you don't, we've established everyone has a strap or towel though. Okay, so everyone has a strap or towel. Okay, then see if you can walk a little closer and lean the trunk to a 30-degree angle and still get that flat back. Cool, then come back up. And lie down on your back, corpse pose. Let your feet fall open. Let your palms turn up. So all that time that we spent paying attention to the movement in the body and the breath, this is like doing a moving meditation. And when we practice moving meditation, we get many of the same benefits that we get from practicing meditation alone. Eventually, by practicing in this way, this moving meditative quality, you'll be able to sit for meditation alone and go even deeper in your meditation practice because of all the training that you've done with me with this practice, with the physical practice. So just notice, while you were thinking about how your spine was moving and your breath, you weren't thinking about a bunch of other stuff. So you're training this one-pointed awareness. And so now when we've stopped the physical movement, when you don't have any sensation or intense sensation to pay attention to, the mind will go back to what we identified, that monkey mind that's identified right at the beginning of the sutras. So the mind will start to jump around, But just keep coming back to your breath and see if you can tune into the sensation of the breath to help to calm and quiet the mind. It's not a bad thing if a thought jumps in. Just let it come, let it go. You're not trying to arrest the thinking, but instead, just let it be there, coming and going, as you keep watching your breath. Then gently bend your knees, roll over to your right side. And press yourself up to seated. Sit up straight and tall. Bring your palms together. Bow the head towards the heart. Lift the head. Open the eyes. Thank you. Namaste. All right. Thanks for practicing today. Make sure to hit the like button on the video today. Leave a comment below. Let me know what you thought of today's video, and subscribe to the channel if you haven't already.